I'm going to be going to Las Vegas in May. Or in May 12th, I believe is when we're leaving. So May 12th through like the 17th or something like that. Not going to be any uploads. I'm going on vacation. Of course, I'll still post, stuff on memes and stuff here, but I just wanted to let y'all know with plenty of time in advance that I am going to be going out of town. Who knows? Maybe I'll do some random videos while I'm there too. I don't know, but yeah. Okay. Hello friends, this is Worm, and it's Monday, which means it's time for another episode of Exotic Recrafting, the series where we take a look at weak, underused, or straight up bad exotics in Destiny 2 and how we can possibly make them better. And for today, I have a heavy weapon on the menu, a heavy weapon that has been in Destiny 2 since the vanilla game, and I always tend to forget about it until I open up my collections and I see, this weapon exists. And that weapon is none other than the Prospector. Now, the Prospector is, it's a heavy grenade launcher, deals arc damage, and it's really unique for a couple reasons. First reason, it fires at 165 rounds per minute. This is the highest fire rate of any grenade launcher in the game. Of course, rapid fires fire at 150 rounds per minute, but this one fires at 165, so it does shoot faster. Now, let's talk about its exotic perk. Perk, I guess, technically. Excavation, it says hold your fire button to fire grenades. Releasing that fire button will detonate all the live grenades simultaneously. Grenades stick to surfaces and set targets on fire. Defeating targets creates arc explosion. So it has a chain reaction built into the mix there. And actually, I think it says it has chain reaction in game. But with that being said, this sounds like it might be a pretty decent weapon, like in theory, right? Like, okay, so it's fully automatic, which is really cool. It shoots all its grenades at once, then you can detonate them all at once. So it sounds like it's got a big payout, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, it sounds like it could be really useful. Unfortunately, it's so weak in its current state. Now, at the time of recording this video, I don't recall how many reserve ammo you can actually carry with this, but with the changes to grenade launcher reserves here recently, it definitely carries more than it used to, obviously, but is it enough to change the weapon? Absolutely not. I don't think so. But with that being said, I want to first start about talking about these simple changes that we can make to make Prospector a better weapon. Starting off of, with the easy changes here, this is changes to maybe stats, changes to, some of the perks, just a perk addition or a perk substitution, something like that. Sorry. But with that being said, I want to look at stats first, and the very first stat that I think should be changed is the fire rate. The fire rate being 165 rounds per minute, in my opinion, it's just not fast enough. I think that this weapon's fire rate should be cranked up to 225 rounds per minute, same as the last word. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like dump that mag really fast. Okay, that way it can become potentially a DPS machine. You fire 8 rounds off in I don't even know how long it is, but very quickly, reload, you get another 8 off, blah blah blah. Like that would be the first, like, most minor change that I would make to the weapon. I would also say that increasing its velocity would be a nice thing, and of course increasing its blast radius, because its current blast radius is only 10. If you see me looking over here off in the distance, I'm looking at my other screen here with the stats pulled up. It's only has a blast radius of 10, which is super small. That's like a grenade launcher with like disorienting grenades on it, basically. So it's definitely not like an ad clear weapon. Unfortunately, it has chain reaction, which like would make you think it's an ad clearing weapon. I don't know, it's in this really weird place, if you ask me. But again, I think that upping its fire rate to 225 rounds per minute is that's something that I would say should be a baseline. No matter what you do to the weapon, at least increase its rate of fire. Now, this weapon, I've been thinking about this weapon for a long time, and I have a ton of changes and additions and stuff in mind. And so I know that this, all these changes and stuff, like, it would be crazy unbalanced if we combined all of them together. So I'm going to go through them, and I want y'all to pick out which ones you like the sound of the most, like which perks and changes sound best together, and tell me what you think they are in the comments. But we talked about rounds per minute. We talked about blast radius. My next idea would be to actually change the magazine size. It's currently 8. I would say up that bad boy to 10 at least. Okay, like this is a blow your load kind of weapon, so to speak. You fire off 8 grenades at 165 rounds per minute. That's pretty fast, but I think it could be faster. And I think that you could have more grenades to shoot off. I would say even upping it to 12, increase by 50%, going up to 12 grenades in the magazine would be incredibly fun. Because again, this weapon, it's not really viable, but it is a fun weapon to do. And so I think that increasing the magazine side, increasing the rate of fire, both of these would increase the fun factor for the weapon itself. Now, I think that also, in terms of how many like grenade launcher rounds it can hold, this is one weapon I would say needs a special tuning to its ammo reserves, because I believe this grenade launcher, given its blast radius and what it does, this is one I would say should have like the one grenade launcher that should have at minimum 40 grenades in its reserves. It should have its 8-round magazine plus another 40 rounds in reserves that can be increased even further with a catalyst and, you know, reserve mods and stuff like that. And the reason why, again, like, it is a dump weapon. You know, you dump your ammo. Its grenades don't do a lot of damage. You're not really doing hardly any ad clear with it because of just the design of the weapon, you know. But we'll talk more about the design of the weapon and perks and stuff in a second. But I think that those 3 changes, again, what actual, like, you know, what changes you want to hand pick and choose to go together, like, tell me in the comments. But you know, we've talked about changing I think 4 or 5 of the stats here, and that's just the stat changes alone. I want to take a look next at the perks here, because, well, the perks could be better. Obviously, I want to talk about chain reaction first. Chain reaction to me just doesn't really fit on this weapon unless you increase that blast radius to like 80 or 90. Like, this is not an ad clearing weapon. Chain reaction is an ad clearing perk, and it's not on an ad clearing weapon. It just kind of feels like it was thrown on there just as a means of like, yeah, here you go. And granted, yes, you can use that burn effect. We'll talk more about the burn effect here in just a second, but you can burn out enemies with that burning effect. And if they die to that burning effect, then they will explode, which is kind of nice. So it's almost like maybe a delayed chain reaction, which could be kind of cool. But again, I think it's too niche. Now, it also says here it has full auto. Full auto at this point should just be removed from every single weapon and replaced with something else. Now, here's what I think should replace full auto: Envious Assassin. Envious Assassin, because Envious Assassin, of course, it overflows your magazine up to 1.5 times, or is it 2 times? No, I think they nerfed it down to 1.5 times. It will allow you to overflow your magazine to 1.5 times reserves, which means that we could have like 20 something grenades in reserves or in the magazine at once. And again, this being a dump weapon that you just absolutely, like, literally blow your load on, to me, Envious Assassin just, it makes sense. Not auto loading holster. Like, if you wanted to throw on auto loading holster as well as Envious Assassin, that could be cool, I guess. But I think the Envious Assassin just on this weapon makes so much sense, and especially if you combine it with the higher fire rate, it's gonna be a blast, no pun intended, but it's gonna be a blast to use. You know, you're gonna be able to smash that fire button and just dump a ton of grenades into a boss enemy, just obliterate their health. Like, it is an exotic weapon. Like, I think that this exotic weapon should be maybe not like the best DPS weapon, but it should be a pretty viable option, you know, up there with some of the best. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if Bungie changed it so that it was the best, if they buffed it to be the best, because it's never been the best. Well, I take that back. It might have been the best way back in early D2, but currently it hasn't been the best in years. We've had other things, you know, Dragon's Breath is kind of one of those ones that's up at the top right now. But with that being said, you know, replace full auto with Envious Assassin, please, Bungie, please. Also, we have Cascade, or not Cascade Point, sorry. No, that's where I'm going with that. We have Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction on this weapon. I think Chain Reaction should be replaced with Cascade Point. Crank that fire rate up even higher. Like, how fun would it be to have 24 rounds in the mag, or well, not 24. What would it be? 20 rounds in the magazine, right? And it fires at 225 rounds per minute, and then you have Cascade Point, so that it can crank up to like 410 rounds per minute. Like, you would absolutely obliterate anything. And of course, you'd burn through your reserves very fast, which is why I said maybe we should increase the reserves as well. But it would add to that fun factor. It would make that fun factor just like, oh, I feel like mwah, one of those moments. So that's what I would say. That's the perk additions I would add. Cascade Points, replacing Chain Reaction. Again, we don't need Chain Reaction. Like, you know, and I know that Bungie, they wouldn't leave chain reaction, and then they wouldn't have chain reaction plus full auto plus envious assassin plus cascade point. Like, that's too much going on one weapon. So that's what I'm saying. Replace full auto, replace chain reaction, and give it envious assassin and cascade point. Like, that would be that just sounds like a lot of fun. Now, in terms of the burn effect, because this is something that's very, very unique to Prospector. Prospector, like we said, is an arc damage weapon, but when you damage enemies, it actually burns them. Like, there's a damage over time effect. And this is interesting because it's not Scorch, it doesn't synergize with anything, but it exists this way, and it's on arc. I'm not really sure the mindset behind this idea. Okay, I don't know why Bungie decided to make it arc with a burn effect. Of course, D1 was a totally different time period, so, you know, that's obviously one of the reasons why. But I think it would be really, really cool if Bungie just change that burn effect to a Scorch effect, which I know it doesn't make sense because it's an arc damage weapon, but how cool would it be to have a weapon that deals arc damage that can also inflict Scorch damage? Like, I don't know, like, to me that just sounds like such a unique effect that could be really fun on both arc. It could be really fun it could be really fun on both arc and solar, and you could throw in, you know, you could throw on void too, and then you have your triple burn effect, so to speak, on that. But I don't know, those are my ideas for like perk changes though. You know, perk changes, the what I would say are the easier changes to make to Prospector. Now, I do have an idea for a full rework of the weapon that I think could be pretty cool here, and I'm gonna hear what you guys think of it. But currently, the way it works is when you hold your trigger down, of course it fires grenades in full auto, and then when you let off that trigger, it detonates those grenades. What if Bungie added a custom detonate button so that you could fire grenades and you could detonate them as you wanted to, like how you wanted to? And the way I'm playing this in my mind is, okay, like, you know, you put you know, you stick 3 grenades to a boss, you stick a grenade to a place where enemies spawn, you stick another grenade to another place where enemies spawn on the opposite side of the map, and then you stick a couple of grenades like maybe around you or something like that. Then when you are looking in the direction of those grenades, it will kind of highlight with like a little icon or something above it, and you could click and hold your reload button, or you could double tap your reload button, and it would detonate that grenade on command. So they would, you know, you'd shoot them off, they would exist in the world for like 15, 20 seconds before they explode, but if you wanted to, you could detonate them on your own. This way, the whole, you know, you know, when you release the trigger, it all detonates at once business, that just goes away, and now you have the ability to detonate your grenades on command. And I think this could be useful in a lot of ways, because currently we don't have any way to detonate our grenades on command, so to speak, without just shooting a sticky grenade and then literally shooting at that sticky grenade. But I think this would be a really cool rework that we could have to the weapon. Would it add a lot of functionality? Probably not, but it would still be a really nice feature to have, you know, kind of like a C4 charge from Call of Duty. You know, you throw a C4 in a doorway, for example, and then an enemy walks through it, and then you detonate it, boom. It's a fun kill. It'd be a fun thing to do in the Crucible, of course. But that's kind of the idea for a rework that I had. Or maybe, you know, when you hip fire, when you're hip firing grenades, you know, they'll stick, and then once you ADS, they explode, or, you know, something like that. Like, I haven't fully fleshed out this idea in my mind. I've been focused on so much with this weapon, but I think that these would all be some really awesome ideas that we could have, you know, that would make this weapon at least more viable, potentially better. I would not mind seeing a Prospector meta where Prospector is like the go-to for DPS, because Prospector, again, it's one of those guns everybody has. Most people probably have the catalyst for, even if it's not completed, like most people have it. You get it from Nightfall Strikes. I mean, everybody does Nightfall Strikes here and there, but I don't know. This video has kind of gone on long enough. I want to hear your thoughts on Prospector, and, you know, your thoughts on the opinions that I had. Like I said, I've given a lot of different changes to the weapon, and I think that if Bungie did all these changes, it might be too much, might make the weapon just either too much going on to really comprehend, or it'd be too much for the game to handle, or maybe just be too blatantly overpowered. But, you know, mix and match some of the stuff I said here. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you think personally could make it better that maybe I didn't mention. And yeah, that's it for me. But of course, do me a favor, guys. Like the video, helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content. And do me a favor, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Guys, I'll see y'all next time, aka tomorrow. Bye for now.